Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristin.
This is why I'm watching Teen Wolf Season 4, Episode 11.
A Promise to the Dead.
This is a good episode. You'll notice that we've had kind of a refrain this whole season where we say things like, well, I really like the character work, but I think some of the plotting was bad. And I think I just don't like the benefactor.
The whole benefactor thing is just...
Like, other than that, I like the rest of the season.
Well, okay, the problem for me is that, like, the benefactor plot just wasted a ton of time because now we're back to this Kate and Peter duo.
It plops in the middle of the season, takes a bunch of time, and then we go back to your previously scheduled recording.
Which is bizarre because it's like, and I mean, maybe it's the type of thing where it's like they couldn't think of enough for, like, the Peter and Kate stuff, but, like, I would have probably been more compelled by the Peter and Kate thing.
Because we commented on both of Peter and Kate's plots this episode. The other factor is I remember specifically watching this episode that I had a very tumultuous 2014 summer. And so I think that's another reason why I don't remember this Kate and Scott Berserker plot at all. And it was because we watched this episode, it was when my family was moving from Maryland to Florida, and we watched this episode in a motel.
Okay.
I had Pizza Hut.
Yeah, okay.
Because she tells the Artemis and Actaeon story in this, and I remember I was like, this happened like the week that the fappening happened, and I remember being like, that's interesting.
I can't believe that was 10 years ago already. All of it.
I'm trying to think of where to start. Well,
with Deaton.
Okay.
That's how the episode opens. Is, there's a guy, and he has a girl.
The Windigo.
He's another Windigo, and he's got a girl trapped.
Well, it kind of made me regret defending the Windigos the previous episode. I guess because they were like a family, and because that boy was cute, I thought that they were more conflicted. And that's all in spite of me saying Windigos freak me out.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if I said that on camera. I think I said it during our watch-along, though.
Oh, okay.
I was like, Windigos have always freaked me out.
Good meet, Calissa. Open your eyes!
And I think it's because they are native to North America.
I'm taking you back to Eichen House, where they know all about your culinary practices.
Like, I was thinking it was more of like a blood bank situation when vampires are...
Are you a cop?
I'm a vet. To the Americas, and so much of our fantasy lore is European based. And so there's something about it being like, ugh.
Yeah. Well, also there's the notion that like everything in Europe is older, but like
that's also just not true.
It's not true. The Appalachian Mountains are older than anything. Like,
but also it's like I think we sometimes have a warped perception of American history where I'm like, in the 1600s, Europeans were settling North America.
Yeah.
So a lot of this stuff was running concurrently.
Yeah.
But no, I think I was more assuming or under the impression that the Windigos were a bit more conflicted in their reality.
Or even like, he's sort of like maybe preying on like the weak or like thinning the herd kind of, but this guy is like...
It's Calissa, right? I guess you're coming to a certain conclusion.
Yuck.
You're not going to be leaving here. It's okay that you're scared. See, contrary to traditional culinary practices, it actually tastes better for someone like me. And the kill's been frightened.
Taking joy in
this girl. And so that maybe the family was a little grayer and this guy is just like an outlying.
Well, because I compared it to, isn't it on the Vampire Diaries where one of the vampire shows, they just have like a blood bank. They just have access to.
Well, I mean, like all of them. Like on Buffy, Angel steals from the blood bank.
That's what I was thinking.
Like the expired blood.
Yeah, I was thinking it was more along those lines. And again, in this one, he's actually, it's very Dr. Sleep. He's trying to make her scared because he likes the way it tastes.
It tastes better. So Deaton catches him doing it and beats him with what seems to be maybe an electrified baton. Dang, Deaton. I always love when he fucking turns out with this shit.
That's like his weapon of choice.
It's great. I love it. I said while we were watching that I love watching Deaton like turn it out.
I think it's because Seth is very
he seems
sweet
unassuming and nice,
and very soft spoken.
Well, and he was like a priest on The Walking Dead. Anyway, so he takes him back to Eichen House where Tyler Posey's father is waiting.
Well, I'm relieved to have Patrick back in our care. There's a reason this floor isn't listed.
Posey's dad.
Sure.
Oh, IRL?
Yeah, John Posey.
All I want to do is talk to him.
The last person that went to see Valak left the room, but not the building.
I'll keep that in mind.
And then I guess he, like, puts Deaton under some sort of sedation.
Well, we meet that guy, and I was always confused.
Yeah.
Because I conflated the two of them.
He's a doctor as well. Dr. Gabriel Valak is the one with the eye.
I only want to talk. You need to see what I know. You do that by coming closer.
Okay, Hannibal Lecter. Let's
He has
pull
an
it.
eye.
Just like a gross open wound on your forehead.
I merged them in my head and got very confused because both of them come back later.
Yeah.
John Posey, it was in the movie. So it's like...
Yeah, I feel like I remember that.
Yeah, he survives this whole thing.
Dr. Conrad Fenris.
Fenris, yeah, that's a wolf.
Yeah, I know.
And so Deaton ends up doing kind of like a spiritual walkabout.
Yeah, but for my money, it seems like Posey's dad is like, it's nefarious. It felt very nefarious. And also the other doctor, what did I just say, Valak, he keeps on being like, come closer. He's doing a very Hannibal Lecter
the late great
style
Hannibal
thing.
Lecter.
Yeah. The what?
The late great Hannibal Lecter. He keeps saying it. He's still saying it.
Who's saying it?
Trump. He keeps saying that at rallies.
Does he think that Anthony Hopkins is dead?
We don't know.
Anthony Hopkins is not dead.
But he keeps talking. Don't go meet him for lunch. He's gonna have a friend for lunch. He's saying it again and again and again. And you can cut that too. But
is Trump eating people?
I don't know. That's what
what's happening.
We're vexed.
Flummoxed.
So, and Derek and Braeden are properly shacking up.
Yeah.
Which you were like, I knew that had happened the once.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was like a continuation. Also, she's wearing just
Victoria's Secret.
It's hot. She's hot. Megan Tandy is a hot woman. I'm not arguing that, but nobody goes to sleep like that.
when you're bagging Derek, hail.
No, even then. Just let those tits out.
Let them fly.
Or just like, Derek seems like the kind of guy who would like love it if she was wearing his t-shirt. So like with nothing but a t-shirt on. As you're telling me there's not a single spare fucking V-neck in that entire loft? You're lying.
And they're woken up in the middle of the night by Lydia screaming at them, and then no one acknowledges that for the rest of the episode.
True.
It was weird to me then, and it's weird to me now.
Yeah.
I feel like that happens a couple times.
Yeah.
Because it cuts straight into the titles, and I at least like to think that she's like, okay, and then just like leaves, just walks home.
I delivered my message.
And Braden's like, how many times is she gonna do this?
Like, Derek, you have to talk to her. It's every night
it's
now.
Just weekly. Melissa finds the money. And again, a really good scene because they're good actors.
Yeah.
And they sort of wax, like they talk about like what it means.
Hey, sorry I'm back so late. I was closing up the animal clinic. Got more hours to earn a little extra money.
How much more did you need? This belongs to Derek. You know you have to give it back.
Why?
Do I want to know why you haven't?
Well, can you tell that we're standing in a dark kitchen right now?
Because of you.
Me? You mean because we've been struggling a little?
We're struggling a lot.
Oh, you can save people's lives But you cannot save them from life. Life is full of struggles.
Okay, but $200,000 fell out of the sky.
Do you know what just one of these can do? This gets us a new roof. This pays for Styles' MRI.
Maybe I am just like void of morality. I would simply take it.
What about this one?
I don't care. Oh no, there's blood on the money.
We see where Scott gets his moral compass from.
Yeah.
She's like, you have to give this back.
Sort of like moral to a detrimental level.
Sure,
though.
but you're...
You need the money, Melissa!
No, I know. It's so we've been arguing this whole season about it in our watch-alongs, and I'm split because of course you're right.
Yeah.
But also that's one of the suspension of disbeliefs
Of
for
course,
me,
of
where
course.
I'm like, but also of course Scott's gonna give the money back. Yeah. And it's so funny because we've also given this season a lot of heat because everybody's having money troubles this season, and then it's just magically gone.
Yeah, we don't really talk about it again.
Well,
after.
it's because Derek let him keep the money.
Was that official?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think.
I mean, we don't ever see him like distributing any of it. Well, we get the like Deus Ex Machina of like Eichen House was like, sorry, our orderly almost murdered you. You don't have to pay for your stay here.
But again, love that.
I do love it.
I love when they're just like, you know
do
what?
love it.
Let's call it even.
But yeah, I mean, so I guess like if they kept it, then whatever. But it is sort of.
But I also do like the moral that it's like a lot of times, like you do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, period. However, sometimes in doing the right thing, the universe finds ways to reward you.
Sure.
And so Derek's sort of like...
It might be better if the money never got returned.
Yeah, he's like...
Okay. Don't you want to know why it took so long to return it?
How much do you make at the animal clinic?
Minimum wage.
That's why. Everyone can be tempted, Scott. Even a true alpha.
It's adorable. Come on.
No, it's fine, but also it's like Scott was not intending to murder anybody for it.
I know.
He was just gonna spend it. Just spend it. Just spend it. You have bills.
It's the best.
Okay.
It's the best, Derek.
My literal favorite part of it, though, is when Scott is like, but it's your money. And he goes, it's not my money. Only Peter keeps his money in the vault. I like invested in real estate like a not stupid person. Like now we know how he's affording that loss. It's because he owns the fucking building.
There's no such thing as ethical consumption under capitalism, and Derek didn't create the system, so he's gonna partake in it. You know what I mean? Like,
he does seem like he might be a bear of a landlord, though.
I don't know. I loved that scene, and that is my favorite flavor of Derek.
Oh, for sure. I do love, too, especially the part at the beginning when Scott is like, aren't you going to ask me why it took so long to give it back? And he's like, how much do you make at the animal shelter? And he's like, minimum wage? And he goes, duh, Scott, of course. Who cares? It's so good. The, like, laissez-faire, like, Derek attitude is always my favorite. And I feel like he's in, like, a really unique spot in this episode specifically. Or like this season where he's like, he's losing all his powers. He's like maybe dying. He like doesn't really know what's going on. And so I think he's just like sort of accepting
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas
things
with Braeden,
as they happen.
Just sort of
yeah.
And so then they fuck off somewhere. I don't remember if it had a plot, but.
Well, they get called to like go, if you want them back, you have to go to Mexico. You should like get on your way now.
If you want who back?
Scott and Kira.
Well, no, I was like, then Derek and Braeden fuck off somewhere.
Oh.
And Scott and Kira are using the loft for their first date.
Yeah.
And he pulls the light bulb trick.
I can't see anything. Can you turn the lights?
Actually, I need you to do that.
First of all, just aesthetically, it's beautiful.
It's really pretty.
It also was extremely on trend. I would even go as far as to say ahead of the trend in 2014. The exposed hanging from the ceiling light bulbs.
The like Edison bulbs have been around for like a while.
Oh,
but,
sure,
yeah.
but like every bar.
Yeah,
and,
it was. Oh, yeah.
But it also gives Kira a chance to like show off and feel special, which is just, I mean, prime, like good all around.
Yeah.
Smooth is what I'm going for. And then they're gonna watch Star Wars, and that was funny.
He is also flummoxed by that. Very like, so it's the fourth one,
So
and Kira's like,
but
but it's the first one.
So this is the fourth one?
No, it's the first one.
Then what's the first one?
The fourth one. You know what? Forget the movie.
And then she's just like, who gives a shit? And they start making out.
Uh-huh. And then Kate comes barreling through that window. The amount of money that Derek's gonna need some of that money back.
He needs to just like he needs to keep like a glazier on like retainer.
We also get some really, really, really good and just so necessary Liam work. And I love because the character of Liam is a tricky character because it's the whole Saved by the Bell, the new class. It's like when you're bringing in a new quote unquote lead, and we never lose Tyler Posey or Scott, so he's always the lead, but Liam is essentially playing the role that Scott played in seasons 1 through 3.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to make that work. It's very hard to make an audience accept a character like that,
especially when it's like, because that's what we've talked about before, where it's like they have to skip over like the majority of his journey, because it's like you also don't, it would be harder to accept it if we were hitting every single same story beat that we did with Scott.
I couldn't. It would be so monotonous. It would be so redundant. And the show, in spite of what I was saying and in spite of the language I was using, the show is not suddenly Liam's or about Liam, but he is playing that role.
Yeah.
And so the fact that we're getting solo material with him, I think, is important and necessary. And the fact that we're exploring his character by contrasting it against Mason, his best friend, it's able to give us a fresh perspective.
He's also,
I'm lost in the weeds a little bit, but it's so good.
I get it, because what's also interesting is that he has the whole time now been having like PTSD about the Berserkers. He just like imagines them everywhere. It's why he's trying to lift so much weight. It's why he's kind of snappy with Mason, in addition to the full moon coming. But it's like,
but we
haven't really touched it. We haven't talked about that.
We get to feel it. Like the whole scene of him trying to get Mason to stay.
Yeah.
And Mason is like, nah, dude, I gotta go home and study. And then just him trying to go to bed, and he can't because night terrors.
Yeah. But like awake ones.
And there's so much tension in these scenes, because the show doesn't ever really say it that I recall, but I think it's in the subtext where it's like, Mason's gay and Liam's not. And so there has to be a question mark somewhere in their relationship.
I
and
mean,
so to have
maybe
a question mark,
yeah.
I'm reading this that Mason probably carries a slight torch for Liam, not in any unhealthy or detrimental way, but it's like you get the sense that to have Liam leaning on him so much that Mason's a little bit sort of like,
where are you going?
Home?
Come on. One more game.
Yeah, you said that 4 games ago.
You can stay over.
You okay?
No.
Yeah, you're right. You should go.
He's like nervous about the moon, right?
I think he's just trying to cling to anything that was normal.
Yeah. I just kind of want to hug him. What is happening?
What do I do with this? Like, how do I go about?
Well, I think it's also unusual. I think this is like new. I don't think he's ever seen Liam be like this before.
But I also, again, I like the contrast, because typically the metaphor would be 2 male friends, one of them realizing that they're gay and having to come out to the other one.
Sure.
And swapping it and having the gay one be the normal and adjusted friend.
Yeah.
And Liam has to come out as a werewolf. I just think it's brilliant. And I think that they do a very good job with it. And if I had any criticisms, it would be that I wanted more.
Sure.
Like, I wish that we could have explored more of it. But I love all of that. And you're right with the Berserker stuff. And also some really good material from Brett. Like,
really
I remember feeling
Brett.
like he was shoehorned in at the time, and I do not feel that way.
I don't feel that way now. I feel like it's been very organic how he's been in there.
And
I love during the game when he like knocks him over. She's like putting down her Liam sign.
What the hell did you do that for?
Because you're afraid. I can smell it on you from across the field. Are you hurt?
No.
Are you still alive?
Obviously.
Then get up.
Good to play?
plan on pulling something like that again? Only if I have to.
Where it's very much like they're rivals, but they're not enemies.
Well, yeah, because Brett seems to have sort of let go of the initial rivalry now that Liam is also a wolf. So that's interesting. And so I love that, and I love the scene in the locker room when he's like,
You okay?
You lost.
But you're okay.
Why'd you help me?
Because of Scott. He saved all of us. Scott's a true alpha. You're not strong just because you can lift a lot of weight now. You're strong because you endure. You're lucky to have him.
so nice. You don't know how lucky you are to have Scott as like your alpha. He didn't have to kill anybody or fight anybody for it. He just earned it.
And again, that's all information that we knew, but it is helpful having other characters
An
acknowledging it in world. Yeah. This was a really good episode.
It was good. I liked it quite a lot, yeah.
I don't remember how Chris gets pinned to the wall. It's Peter.
Peter does it, yeah.
But how did he get there?
He was following Kate. He was like looking for Kate.
Okay.
But then also Parrish was like following Peter, so he was able to find him down there. And he like, well, because there's
so many good men on this show.
There really are. And I think it's like such a good, because I was thinking about the Mason and Liam scenes, and I was like, they just like each other. They're just friends. They just like hang out and play video games and like talk about stuff.
Well, and I said this a lot in season 1 and 2 where I was like,
because it's very Scott and style.
I was like, this show is weirdly a very sweet love letter to young male coming of age sexuality.
Well, and also just and emotions.
And that's not represented innocently nearly enough in media, let alone, sweetly or admirably. And I think it's part of the problem that we're in.
100%.
It's the whole, without going down this rabbit hole, it's the whole thing that, Rachel likes to say, and it's a saying where it's like, I mean, patriarchy hurts men as well.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's also, I say it very glibly a lot of the time, but I mean it sincerely, that I think a majority of the world's problems could be solved if
men would hug each other.
If they kissed each other on the mouth. At least once. How do you know you don't like it if you've never done it? Kiss on the mouth, like, just unbelievable.
Because you can also just kiss somebody.
Yeah.
Like, yes, it is intimate, but it's like, I have literally kissed all of you on New Year's Eve. Yeah. Or, you know what I mean? Like, it's just...
It just simply doesn't matter. It's not as, like...
It's not the threshold cross.
Certainly not. Certainly not. And it's just, like... it's so frustrating. But yeah, so I loved that. And so then basically back to the, like, Chris thing. He was looking for Kate, and he found Peter. Peter shoved a rebar through his stomach and then, like, bent it around so he couldn't even, like, push himself off of it.
It's the blunt edge that I, like, because I'm usually, like, things don't really shock me all that much anymore. I'm pretty acclimated to,
like,
horror and gore theatrics and stuff. I've watched a lot of movies, and every so often something will look me. And that whole scene, I was like, ooh.
Unfortunately, while I promised Kate that I wouldn't kill you, I also can't let you leave.
I remember that.
No. Allow me.
I don't want you to.
Now you rest here a while.
You saw Men with us, right?
Yes.
I
forgot about that. Oh, I forgot about that part. All I remember is the giving birth again and again and again.
That was horrific as well.
But it was also nonsense.
Yeah. That movie really fell apart.
It was not. Yeah, it was not. It was a noble swing, but it did not.
No.
Anyways. And so, yeah, Kate has taken... If you're watching along with us, we have a couple of conversations during this episode because I initially started to bristle at Kate's plot this episode because when she breaks into the loft and is beating up him and Kira, and she's letting them have it.
Yeah,
like what for?
Like hard.
But she has this sort of monologue where she's sort of like mystified by Scott.
I want a little bit of insight, Scott. The Argent family has been around for over 400 years, but yet somehow, in less than a year, this great family is decimated. by a teenage boy.
I feel like you did it to yourself, kind of.
So my question is simple. What the hell is so special about Scott McCall?
It's his heart.
It's valid, because, yeah, I mean, the Argents have been around for over 400 years, and they were a dynasty, and it's like, how did this one teenager decimate this entire family?
But she's been there from the beginning. She's witnessed
the whole thing.
Every minute of Scott and his rise to power and everybody trying to... And so you're totally right. The fact that she was, like, seemingly the most confused.
I pulled a halt the projector moment when we were watching it, where I was like, this does not check for me at all. It felt out of character for Kate completely. I was like, especially because what I loved and love about her so much is her season 1 arc, is how savvy she is.
Yeah.
And how hip, given what we know about her relationship with Allison and that history repeating conversation and the big brown eyes and all that, I was like, I feel like she already knows all this.
Yeah.
And it really, like I said, I really bristled at it and I started to get frustrated, but then they kind of drop it and she brings him to that church in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we find out that she's trying to make him into a berserker, I was like, okay, but now this checks.
Yes.
That completely feels like that would be
100%
in line, in character for what I know. And that is because as it's happening, I just kind of looked at you and I was like, Scott would make such a good berserker.
Yeah.
And you were like,
of course.
Yeah, all he does is
Berserk.
take orders.
Yeah.
Berserk. And I think that falls in line with her creepy predator nature on every level. I don't know. I kind of live for that plot.
Mm-hmm.
It was mostly just that kind of monologue that she gave that I thought, I was like, I don't know, was Jeff just feeling
some
frivolous?
Type of way? Yeah.
Was it sort of like, it almost felt like it was lifted, copied and pasted from like another villain. And just thought, well, we'll just put that here because we need to fill 10 minutes. I don't know. I'm fine with it. I enjoy it. The Malia stuff, again, I think...
Oh, yeah, cool, because Peter is like, I found your mother, and in order for me to show her to you, I need you to kill Kate. So he's just trying to clean up loose ends.
Yeah.
But...
It's not awful. It's not great. And again, I think it works largely on Shelley's will. Like,
well, and Ian Bowen as well. The thing that I just go back to the thing that we talked about at the beginning, which is like, I wish this had been the plot. Like, I wish the benefactor thing hadn't factored in at all. Because, like, you can get rid of the money problems and the benefactor, and, like, it would be fine. Like, if we didn't have the money problems, we don't need the benefactor because it doesn't have to be about all of this money.
So, that's actually interesting.
And then you could stretch out the, like, reveal about...
So you think it's sequel bloat, that they felt like they needed a big bad villain because every season up until this point, season 1, season 2, season 3A and 3B,
maybe
the villains were, each time it was bigger and badder than the previous.
Maybe.
And had they actually just let this be about
Kate and Peter
and about Liam and Malia,
I think it would have been better.
A lot of the teenagers who were watching it would have been like, well, where's the exciting, like,
yeah,
that
is the issue with us as nearly 40-year-olds watching shows
MTV's Teen Wolf
for children
after the fact.
Is that, like, we are very here for, you know, the character stuff, the
craftsmanship of the storytelling.
And, like, we are not looking at it as we looked at these type of shows when we were young.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's very, like,
I'm going to repeat it again. The benefactor is sequel bloat.
Yeah.
Like, it's there to take up time and to get bombastic, you know, set pieces out of. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, what it does for our viewing is it gets in the way, and it does not. Of the
interesting
and
stuff.
It does not make sense.
Yeah.
And it even challenges some of the things that do make sense.
Agreed.
Like, it calls into question things that I was good. I was solid until they asked these questions. And so now that we're over, I'm back to enjoying it. Mm-hmm. Because it's like 1 through 4, I think, are great.
Yeah.
And then the last 2 episodes, I think, are great. And then there's this, like, chunk in the middle. That's interesting. I never thought about it that way. And then Sheriff took his son and his girlfriend out for dinner, and they had pizza.
So cute.
Drop what you're doing. I'm taking you both out to dinner.
Dad, I don't think a man your debt should be treating anyone.
Well, there's one debt we no longer have to worry about.
What is that?
Letter of apology from Eichen House. Apparently, they've decided to forgive our debt due to,
The almost murder.
well, you and Lydia almost getting murdered.
They can do that? I have never been so happy to have almost been murdered.
But we're not out of it yet,
And you've almost been murdered several times.
I can afford to take my son and his girlfriend out to dinner. Malia, what's your favorite food?
Dear.
Pizza. She likes pizza.
I love it. So.
I do love that Styles just like hard called him out in front of Malia though and was like, I don't think a man of your depth should be treating anyone to food. I thought. I was like, damn, Styles. And that's when he reveals that like Eichen House waived the bill. So they still have like the medical, like the MRI and stuff, but that's way more manageable than like being admitted to a mental facility. So I just love that it's like, sorry, we almost killed you.
But again, I love that.
Yeah,
like,
no, it's super funny.
That's the kind of hand waving that I'm like, fantastic. Let's skip to the good part.
Yeah, 10 out of 10. No notes.
So okay, we're gonna watch the last one and then we'll be done forever.
Don't tell them that.
I have no idea.
Bye.
You're never getting off this crazy train.